Headmaster Dr. McEwen, Deputy Headmaster Mr. Davis, invited guests, staff and students. Throughout my time at Hutchins, I've changed a lot as a person and developed in many different ways. But one thing that has stayed consistent about me is that I am a master procrastinator. And so in this speech, I'll give you a bit of insight into my procrastinator mind, and in the hopes that my fellow procrastinators out there know that you're not alone in feeling like this. And for those of you who actually possess the self-discipline to get tasks done on time, or as I call them, the lucky ones, I hope you see things from our perspective. First of all, I'll establish what separates a procrastinator from someone else. What we're all able to do is recognise what we have to do in advance and plan how to best tackle the task. What one of the lucky ones would say is, I have an assignment due in 2 weeks. I can just do half an hour a night and get it done easy. This will be no problem. They have a rational decision-making mindset. And the procrastinator also has this ability, to plan their work. But then what separates the procrastinator is that they look at this plan and then go off and watch a 40-minute long video on the history of Mario Kart shortcuts. So it's the mindset of instant gratification that dominates. And that's the category that I fall into. And it's not just pointless activities that become more appealing when you're procrastinating. I mean, for example, other tasks that you've been putting off also become more appealing. Like, I don't think I've ever cleaned my room on a night that I haven't had a task due. And so the only thing that will make a procrastinator start the work is that looming, approaching deadline. And when that due date approaches, a shower of cold sweat falls over the procrastinator and their head begins to ache as if it's filled with concrete. They speed run the assignment in the few hours before the deadline, often pass it into the 3 a.m. territory, until at last they come out the other side, drained, tired, barely more than a walking corpse. And they say to themselves through unbrushed teeth, never again, because no one in their right mind would want to go through that again. And so they vow to change. They promise themselves that they won't let it happen again. But the thing that's so frustrating about being a procrastinator is that for some reason we can't change, and the cycle continues. For instance, on the 4-day-long weekend earlier this year in March, I had an art essay due, and a maths test, and a bio essay, and a chemistry test in the upcoming week. That's one major assignment for literally all of my subjects. The obvious original plan would be to intelligently balance the workload across all 4 days, something like this. And so that is what I did. But along comes Saturday, and I'm thinking, well, do I really need to spend the entire long weekend working? It's okay, I can just have 1 day off. And so I made a new plan, and it looks like this. And so it's Sunday, and I'm thinking, well, I still have 2 more days. Like, I can pretty much take this day and yesterday as a day off, and then I have like a full weekend ahead of me. This will be fine. New plan. I think you can see where this is going. On Monday, I spent all day with my mates playing board games, so that was a write-off. Another new plan. Oof. So come Tuesday, I had to study for 2 tests and write 2 essays, none of which I'd even started doing. Obviously, I just have to ditch all leisure and focus entirely on work. It's go time. Do you know how I spent that Tuesday? Here's a visual representation of how much work I did. Bugger. On that day, I did about an hour's of biology, a tiny bit of math study, and spent the rest of the evening lying face down on the floor like a frustrated toddler after being denied having a second Tim Tam. Once again, I'd wasted a weekend that I should have spent doing work. But I still wanted to change. I wanted to improve I always felt alone whenever I put off work like this. I felt like everyone around me seemed to have their life in order, and I was the only one that was typing at Mark 5 at 11:50 p.m. to finish an essay that I hadn't started. I'd compare myself to my friends, who all seemed to have no problem managing their time. It didn't feel too great. It took me quite a long time to realise that there were others like me. True, there are those that do work first and then fun later. But when I really had a proper look, it turns out that quite a lot of people are procrastinators too, my friends included. We all procrastinated to a certain extent, and I felt a little bit better once I'd realised that. But I did still want to change. I wanted to improve myself. So what can you do? Is there a way to get the willpower to get things done early? Well, I did some Googling and found that the best ways to beat procrastination are to plan out a rigid schedule, do work as soon as it's given, and minimize distractions. But that's garbage. Well, to me at least. I've tried those things, and while they may work for a few days, every time I just find myself regressing back into procrastination, and I'd have to wait until those stress levels reach that optimum point so that I could get the task done. But after all these years of procrastinating, I just had to find some way to cope. Otherwise, I'd just be some stressy, migraine-y mess all the time. So what I did was, I just embraced it. Instead of trying to fight it anymore, I just accepted it as part of who I am. Well, for now at least. It's not about implementing simple tricks. It's about understanding yourself. I'm not saying that you can put off all your work and eventually things will turn out fine. But what I am saying is that you've got to figure out how it is you best produce your work and consistently, however that may be, and realizing that it's going to be different from the way other people do things. For me, I work best under the pressure of the close due date, knowing that I can get my work done without criticizing myself and comparing myself to others. It's just the way I do things. We don't need this bin anymore, by the way. And so now I'm okay saying that I am a master procrastinator, and I know I'm not the only one. If you're a procrastinator, you're not alone. There are times when we can go days in a row without doing work, but we all do that at least sometimes. The take-home message, I guess, is that if you're a procrastinator, don't give up. Understand that we all have different learning styles and that these can change. You just need to find out what it is you need to do to get the task done. So to conclude, in the words of Nike, just do it. But in the words of the procrastinator, just do it tomorrow. Thank you.